Okay, let me check here. Guys, may I ask you for a favor? Because I cannot share my screen. Please, could you share the
Yes, yes.
image?
Sure,
Thank you
sure,
so
definitely.
much. Okay, now please compare what you have done with the original.
This is very colorful.
Still
Yeah.
didn't see the message.
Okay, this house is so nice. This is your guy.
No, this is not
So
mine. This is it's part of.
I love, this is the inside of that house.
Yes. See, I was looking to the garden. This is the garden. Okay. Just I wasn't able to open the link. Just a minute, please. Okay. Let me open it first, and I will share the screen.
Have- Did you see the real house? Okay.
Yes, I
Okay.
see it.
It's similar to what you did or not?
It is colorful. That is the main difference.
Yeah,
The
but
house is
I didn't ask you for colors. I want just the
I
the
just closed the
drawing.
garage. I just closed the garage and put some barbecue space on the top. So that's what I did.
Yeah.
Because I
Yeah,
love barbecue.
Two, three
but the
things.
idea of the house.
I'll tell you one thing, Giovanna. The first thing is the door for us. It wasn't described in a correct way
I
because the
said
door
it
is
was
showing something
open.
similar.
I
No,
said
no, no.
the
I'm not
garage is
the door.
open.
No, the door of the house, not the door of the car of the garage.
Yeah,
Okay,
you're right.
because we have this, let's say, decoration above it. Okay, this is the first. The balcony is clear. The other things, most of them, it's very clear. Yes, I think let's forget about the colors. The other, yes, almost is the same. And also for sure, just like my brief, what she said, reversing the right and the left, but that is not an issue because if you use the selfie camera, it will be okay. So, so this is my notes in general.
Thank you, guys. Another opinion.
Yeah, and the shape of the topmost window, it is a little oval in shape, the topmost window. So that we drew it as a rectangle. So
Yeah.
a little bit curved.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Another opinion.
I would say I drawn one of the worst sketches because there is no link for what I have drawn and what you have told. So I think I need to work on it again.
Don't worry, it's fine. Thank you.
I guess I have drawn the mirror image of what I see now.
Okay.
It's exactly right in this thing.
Yeah,
Another.
actually, even I have the garage on the other side. I think
yeah,
Manpreet's question was
same.
really good. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So we have a first version of this game.
I have another question. I didn't receive the message. I don't know. You sent it on LinkedIn?
The link, no, on the chat I sent it.
Oh yeah,
okay.
look in the chat.
Yeah. No, in LinkedIn are the photos of the houses, and here is the chat. Yeah.
Also,
Okay.
one question I have. You did not specify if the house door is open or closed. I made it open, and the bushes thing. I don't know if you told or not. So I'm not sure, but the house, that thing, if it's open or closed, you did not mention it.
Nice. Okay. Any other opinion?
I love it that I felt set up not on purpose, but mine is the mirror image of this. It's flipped, and I wished I had thought to ask the question that Manpreet asked.
Yeah.
Thank you, Thom. Okay. First of all, thank you so much for doing this icebreaker with me, because you did that. You are professionals in everything. Your drawings are amazing. Thank you so much for doing it this way and for leaving this icebreaker, because this is an example of what happened with our communication. every day.
Yes.
In the first example, in the first house that I said, okay, everyone knows what means house. And everyone said, yes, we know. House is maybe it's the thing that we know from when we have, I don't know, 2 years old. We know what means house and we know how to draw it. And but when I told you to draw this house, you didn't draw the same house that I was thinking. Why? Who can answer me that question?
I
Because
I okay.
yeah, Manpreet, please go on.
No, no, it's okay.
Yeah, actually, we all actually imagine from a different perspective. Means the same thing I can imagine in a different way. You can think in a different way, and we can put it in a paper as per our imagination. So, no two people can imagine on the same way. There will be a little bit of difference here and there, but at the end of the day, every people was targeting to actually means draw the house. So, if we take the house example, so that is from my point.
Thank you, Sora.
Also, I think from this exercise, you were trying to tell how important is to communicate your thoughts from you to the other person that he writes on the book. So, how well you express yourself is a matter how the person in front of you understands what you want to speak. Because the first time you said house, it was just a house image that we all have in our mind. But then when you were describing, it was how you're communicating to people how to do it and how well you communicate, that matters ahead. So I think that was the purpose of this exercise.
Okay, thank you so much, Manpreet.
And the
One
thing that I want
point,
to point out, just one thing
yes,
that one thing that Giovanna missed, that she didn't specify if she's telling from the house perspective or ours perspective. That's why each one of us drew an opposite image. So that's an important thing that we need to keep in mind before
Yeah,
communicating.
that's what I asked her, if she's telling the left or right from her perspective or our drawing perspective.
Mhm.
I
mm,
understand
Actually,
this in another way. Can I, Arshad, go ahead, please.
no, you it's okay, Get.
No, no, no.
I will.
Okay. The how I understand the first question, it's draw your house. That means your idea. You ask me about house, and then you can go and draw it. So whatever, it's your vision to it. It's you are free. You didn't give me specification. On the other side, you give me more specification. At the end, this specification also we have to consider from which point of view we are talking, from architectural point of view or from normal kids in the school point of view. Yes, we have to ask this question. But the main difference between the first question and the second one is your house, Giovanna. It's what you are going to tell, because in my drawing, I add you on the window of the second floor, really. Okay, Giovanna. Okay, so because this is your house, but the first one is my house, so I'm free how to draw it.
I
Thank
think
you, guys.
I
we
feel
in one line, I think we can say that we all of us assumed what Gio's house was, that we knew what Gio's house meant. So that's all of us. We just assumed that, and that's why we said yes. We know what a house is. So yeah.
I just wanted to add what Gage said. I think the first one was something our vision, our idea, but whereas the second one is concerned, it was her vision and her idea. So it would be difficult for us to follow someone's idea, or it would have some loopholes, or which we need to merge it up or bridge it up. That's something that I understood.
Thank you, Sai. Awesome. Anyone else?
Also improve the grasping power.
Sorry.
It also improves the grasping power of the ideas
Mm-hmm.
and how fast you
Thank you.
can approach it.
Thank you so much. Any other comment?
I think, first of all, um, let's not concentrate on the small details. I think whatever the house that we are going to draw, when I am going to show to someone that didn't come to this meeting, and I am going to show him the first house, he's going to tell me, wow, this is a house. And the second one, the second exercise, without concentrating on the details, if I am going to show this photo to someone and I'm going to tell him, okay, concentrate on it for a few minutes, and please, can you tell me? Uh, After that, I am going to hide the image, and I am going to tell him, please, can you tell me about the details? I think he's going to tell the same details that Gio was telling, and I think this is the main thing that. First of all, the first image is just an image, it's just a house. And the second image, if we are concentrating on details, I'm going to ask the person and he's going to name the components for me. I don't know what's the main thing of the exercise, but I think he's going to the components that Gio concentrated on. I don't know if the exercise, the main purpose of the exercise is just copying, pasting the content of the image that Gio showed us, but or just concentrating on the component that Gio talked about. So if it is concentrating on the components that Gio told, I think it's done. Yeah.
Thank you, Tina.
You're welcome.
Okay. Thank you, everyone, for the thoughts and comments. And of course, this game, this icebreaker, is done with a purpose. And the first part of this exercise is to show you that, and to show us, because everyone do the same thing, does the same thing. We always pretend that when we say something, the other person is going to get the same idea. So we say something and say, okay, I tell you, I have to tell you this, and you have to do this, okay? And we pretend that this person is going to say, to do the thing that we are thinking about. And when the things are not made in the way that we expect, then we say, but I told you. Why did you have done this if I told you that? And it happens, it's the same exercise with the house. Because as you have told me first, guy told that is that that's my idea of a house. That's my house. It's not yours. So the concept of house, we have the concept, but to be close or to do the right thing, similar, is another thing. So I cannot pretend on a person just saying words. I'm going to just to say house. Everyone is going to draw the same house that I was thinking, because I have everything here, but it's impossible to pass all this to transmit 100% the message. And we have to reflect about that when we talk with other person, when we give instructions, we have to think about that. Maybe not instruction, just transmit an idea, a message. So remember, our houses are different because we have different way of see what is a house. Thank you, Thom.
Real
And
quick,
okay.
I was sorry, I was that raising my hand. This is beautiful. I really think it's powerful. And what I kind of heard you say as a data scientist, math kind of guy is, oh, I have to plan for the variance of perception in my audience. I have to be aware that that is going to happen no matter how carefully I speak. There's going to be variance. I know that even posting every day for a while, some of the comments I get, I feel like, why the hell didn't you read what I said in the post? And and then this is very helpful to realize, but did I communicate in a way where I could reduce the variance?
Nice. And that is the second part of the exercise. Thank you, Thom, for that part. Because in the second part, I try to compensate this situation that not everyone has the same idea that I have when I'm talking about a message. And I try to be specific in all the details. But as Tina said and other person said, there are some details that I didn't, uh, I wasn't so uh, uh, like in the specific detail of it was the kind of window of the window was open or closed, for example. So we have to remember that sometimes we try to give the instructions and we try to be very specific in some things and we try to be communicate in the best way. But even though we some details are not included, or maybe we didn't think about that. So that's why I was expecting a lot of questions from you. And when you didn't ask me anything, so I said, okay, I have to ask them if they have questions because they are following everything, but they don't ask. So when you start asking, everything changed because you start doing, okay, but this is this side or your side or what is that? But the questions came after that you draw the house. So uh, the questions when, for example, I can give instruction. I can share a project and my ideas. And before I start doing the project, we need to ask, we need to have more details. So this is other thing that we have to think about. Sometimes we ask, but remember that we have to be like a professional about asking, the timing when to ask and why to ask something. So congratulations, because you have done this exercise very well. And you did the right questions. And I think it just, this question maybe could be at the beginning of the starting drawing, before prepare everything before start drawing. But you did the question that I was expecting, and the comments were the comments that I expected. So thank you so much for your participation in this icebreaker. And I think that next time that we communicate, we are not going to forget the house, that we think a different house. And the thing that maybe we can transmit 100% a message, we try to cover all the details, but we are always to lose some information. So try to, if people don't ask you, ask them to make questions, because it didn't mean that you did it well, or they understand everything. So we have to be proactive and to tell to us, our audience, as Thom said, to ask for questions. Okay, thank you so much, and clap for you. You are awesome.
I have to add one thing about one word. In fact, it was my question, and I didn't ask it because I want to continue with the exercise. It's about the nice word. You tell me there is a garden, which is very nice garden, and there is the path then from the road to the door. I was going to ask you what's the meaning of nice for you. This is when we are talking about, let's say, going to project or software. By the way, I'm not surprised that everybody starts to draw and then they ask the question about the direction, because if we're talking about data scientists, I think they will start with initial model originally, and then they are working to find if it's with the best, or they are going to another model. But it's about the nice, because for me, nice garden, that means I consider, I didn't draw it, by the way, because I'm unable to draw a big trees and something. For me, this is nice. So I want something measurable. So nice is not measurable for me. And this is part of the mixing the communication skills with the project planning or project identification, which is, we used to name it as project scope. There is nothing non-measurable has to be there. So you might give us clear message, but because it's non-measurable, they again, somebody will tell you, no, you have to be crystal clear. You You have to be more clear because you have to give us some specification has to be measurable. So nice is not measurable. Nice for you is not the same for me. It's not the same for Tom. It's not the same for Zaina, whatever. So from this is what I want to add. It's to have something measurable when we are speaking about giving specification for project or a model.
I have a doubt.
Yeah, one thing I want
When
to add, just one quick thing. Sorry, Ayush, just one thing. I mean, when
yeah,
Gas was saying that we need to be specific and tell things which are measurable. And another point which comes in here is when people say that I'll do these things ASAP. I mean, ASAP can mean different things. ASAP cannot mean 1 hour or 2 hour. ASAP can mean 15 minutes. ASAP can mean 2 hours. So you need to be specific when you're saying ASAP. Avoid saying ASAP and just quantify whatever time you need to do that thing or whatever. Yeah, continue, Ayush.
yeah, I just had a doubt. What about people who are into design? I mean, how will you tell them something measurable? Because I want you to design, for example, a dashboard or something like that. So I'll say a nice or a clear dashboard. I can't quantify that.
So can I answer that?
Go ahead.
So for dashboard specifically, you're designing some dashboard. The main thing, whatever message, the storytelling that you're doing, it should be clear from the graphs that you're making. So that is the main thing. Like I don't think any stakeholder will tell that he wants a dashboard, like he wants to see a pie chart or a bar graph. He will tell you that he wants to read some sales for his different departments, and then you have to design in such a way that the message is clear, and and it is, as you are the designer of the dashboard, it is up to you to uh, initially put all the containers wherever with different graphs, and then show it to him. And first of all, the message should be clear. If it and the story that you're trying to tell from the dashboard, it should be clear. If not, if he has some suggestions, and as Geth was also telling that it is all iterations. Like you will not have a final draft. You will have initial draft. Then you will go to the stakeholders. You will show it to them. This is my idea of showing the data. What's your suggestion? And
I had a
then
question. Oh, sorry. Go on,
so that's
Arshad.
it. So that is the way. So because this dashboard designing is a very tricky part. It never happens at the first, because I have seen a lot of iterations keep happening. You initial draft you show to the clients, then they will say that the story, the color, especially the color, the fonts, a lot of things keep on happening, and then finally you will get into a final mode, final version.
So real quick, everyone, we've been already given some great wisdom in this group in the past. And I kind of want to politely challenge all of you. What should we start with when we're designing a dashboard or a set of dashboards? What should we start with?
We should start with the message we want to communicate.
But what is that? How do you figure out that message?
So
By
is it
understanding,
deep
by
into the
analyzing the
data,
data.
understanding the data?
So, Tom, like I can talk from experience, because whenever you create a dashboard, why you create a dashboard, because you already have some existing
Wait.
reports.
Just, you don't have enough parsimony. Boil it down to what you just said. Bring what you just said. Say it again.
Yeah. So basically, that you already have the reports. You already have the data in the tabular form, and the stakeholders want to understand that data in a visualization point of view. So that is the first step, because you understand the data and you understand the pain points, what you're trying to get from the data, and that those pain points or those analysis that you are doing, that you show it
But,
on a
but how did you
What
figure that out? How did you figure
I
what
that
have,
out,
I have,
Arshad?
Yeah, I feel that it works in a way that you have a data and you want to sell a product. So you want to show the customer or the client that
Now,
with this,
forgive me, everyone, forgive me. This is just, I'm really trying to make sure we don't lose what we already have. So, Arshad,
yes.
how did you figure out what you were going to include in your storytelling, in your dashboard. What did you do?
So
Understand the data,
the
analyze
communication
No,
part,
source.
Take
No,
the
no.
I
requirement from the
think, I
clients.
think,
so
I
Requirements.
think,
I will
I
Zena's
think there is
Zena's
something
gonna
missing.
explode. Yeah, there is. Go
There
ahead,
is
Zena.
something missing.
I think
Like,
this
you
is
can
need.
I
basically
tell
the
something, please?
yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
There is
Sorry.
something
Let
missing
Zena go.
before going to data and going to the representation and going to the tools that you are going to use to the dashboard. First of all, domain knowledge. You need to understand what are the information that my user needs to know once he sees my dashboard.
What
What are the
Zena just
questions
said,
that
I'm going to give more parsimony to what Zena's saying, more elegance, more why.
go, go.
Why are you doing this?
For the audience.
And she's saying, because I'm serving someone who has a need for the data to tell them something. That's why. I just wanted, but Gio already taught us this. Start with why.
Yes.
Have we have
And
these
who?
vision statements, but then we're going off to do this presentation to build this dashboard, but why? Well, we're
Yeah. And
like
the who
Zena said,
also.
And the who.
So we have
In fact,
to.
the why and the who. The why I am doing this, and the who's going to see this, who's going to use this in order to structure
The
this.
outcome is more
Yeah.
important
The
than the
why
output.
and the who are so important before getting into work.
Yeah.
now
For a
that
better.
Anything.
that right there is parsimony, guys. Why, who? When you can say it in single words or very short phrases, you can't forget that. That's a spirit you hold in your heart about why I'm a data scientist and serving others. You know, or it doesn't have to be that. Maybe you're a researcher. I'm advancing data science knowledge areas, but I just think that parsimony is beautiful. Why, who, single words.
I love
See,
the way
I want,
you talk about things that I can't express, Tom. You're just amazing.
Zena, I want to say something. Now, I don't want to judge the people. For sure, from the first, by the way, I want to answer this, but then I want to listen because I want to learn. But I don't want to judge the people. When, for example, when Arshad told us that you have a report and you want to show, he speak about some use cases. Now, here's the problem. He assumed that we are in his shoes. He assumed that we are him. He has clear experience on what he is doing, and he is really good, but he assumed that we understand what he is doing. Now, this is why what Zena said, she is talking in more general cases. Now, even Arshad, in your situation, what will happen if you want to develop something? You want to identify what you are doing. You are going to mention this why, who, and somehow later you are going to speak about how. How it's later. It will not come on the same place. So if you are going to, for example, to develop a project charter about your project, your dashboard. So I understand your situation. In fact, your question, it was clear. It was, for me, it was perfect because immediately I comes to your chair and understand you. But
Yes.
this is not the perfect because you have to think about generalized situation. You are another company and comes to this organization and you have some requirement. So why, who, and what is even for me? Sometimes I even this is personal point of view. I try to focus on the operation part in this organization because it will help me a lot about how this data that I have is generated. So this is the second step for me personally. I like the operation part. So what I want to say that your answer is not wrong. It's not something wrong, but you assume something. And this is the critical part. When you assume something, you have to put it as precondition. Tell us, if this is the scenario, I'm going to do that.
Yeah, you got
Okay?
it. So I was just answering Ayush's question about the design, and I got carried away. So
Arshad, you were doing great, but we've got to help each other. I hope
yes,
you didn't feel ganged up
no,
on
no,
there.
that's fine.
Excellent, good.
Thanks.
Hi guys. So I'm Ishan.
So this is my first time, and thanks Tom for inviting me. So I was listening to you guys, and I have like four notes that I have made. I quickly go through them. Right, these are, so my brain works like when you guys are talking. This is how my brain works. How can I like make sure that they are wrong? Right, that is how I am wired. So first thing is like going back to the house one, right? She was like, if I were to do that, right? Explain the house. What if I didn't say anything about a house? I would say, okay, there's a like say 1,000 by 1,000 screen, and on the left side, or say on the midpoint, you draw a rectangular, and then on top of that, you draw a triangle like that. On this coordinate you draw something like this. No concept of windows or anything like that. So wouldn't it have like created a more synchronized drawing with everyone, because we are speaking a common language, right? No one is assuming anything. Everyone, like, yeah, of course we are assuming that everyone knows what a square and rectangular is, but it's kind of a fixed thing, not like a window which can change, right? You can say, okay, this is like, even with the window on the top part where you had a like a part of it was a square and the top part was a, like a half a circle, you could have like properly, like without like almost no error, you could have given that information now, right? So that was one thing. And the other thing is like, I was thinking that most of us are like, for most of us English is not our common like mother tongue, right? So here we are like doing two transformation. We are coming to a middle language, then the listener is also like converting it to his language. So that introduced like two times, like let's say two times the error, right? So I think if we had a catalog kind of thing, like speaking purely theoretical level, like most of the people here are from India, I assume, from the names. So there's a movie called PK. So if you have watched it, so in that an alien comes to the planet, and in their world they don't have words. So his method is like, he's saying words complicate things, because there are a lot of like ways we can understand words. So if there's a direct way to communicate like in a like a more abstract level, wouldn't that like solve most of the problem? So I'm just throwing out ideas that came to me. And about communicating your thing or understanding something, like for me, when someone is explaining something even complex to me, I tell them, like tell it to me like I am in school, right? No like technical jargons or anything. What do you need me to do in very simple English or whatever the language, right? So then when I understand the baseline, then we can add the complexities with technical jargons, right? So if it is a machine learning model, what I would do is tell me what inputs exactly are you giving me, and I will fix the black box in the middle. What exactly do you need as the output? So until I understand that, I don't think about, okay, whether I'm going to put TensorFlow in it, Keras, or whether I'm going to put just Python logic or something, right? So I think we need to like not. This is just a thought. Like we need to get down to the get down from our like technical jargons and understand the concept. And then the last one is regarding the generalization of the dashboards, right? Like I think it was Gayat that said we need to generalize it, but doesn't that like if we think of, okay, how even with Tom's articles, if he was worried about how this person would understand it, this person would understand it, he will never be able to write one, right? So instead of that, like I don't think generalizing Like if you try to generalize, you are just adding too much complexity to the system, right? So I don't 100% agree with the idea of generalizing a dashboard. Yeah, yes, guys. Yeah.
I'm not talking about generalizing the dashboard. I'm talking about generalizing the process of generating a dashboard.
Sorry.
The process of generating the dashboard.
Oh,
There is
sorry.
no general dashboard.
Okay.
Again, this is the
And
Yeah,
language, and this
sorry.
is my mistake. Okay, but I have to
and
be
by
clear.
the way, Ashish Pital just wrote a comment that is so interesting about generalizing the process of generating a dashboard, and it's amazing. I think guys, you should read Ashish's
Ac-
comment.
Actually, Zena, you or I could read Ashish's comment, or Ashish, if you would like to read it for us, that would be great.
Yeah, that would be amazing. Go for it, Ashish.
Hello guys, I hope you are enjoying the weekend. So, as you suggest me, I am not an expert in dashboard designing, but what I know is exactly like the main thing when you design something that should be convey your message is like what you want to represent with your data and which client wants to interpret like a client wants on that way, right? So that is our end user. So we have to think on that way, like let's say I am an end user and you are my dashboard designer. So I wonder, so first of all we have to understand the subject matters is like what is the subject matter and then how we have to deliver that. So even a 5-year child can understand that dashboard. That way we have to execute because what happened, the main thing is interpretation. If interpretation should be wrong or if we can choose a wrong design, so it will interpret the wrong message. So I'm not an expert, but that is my perception toward to visualizing. When I want to explore something, I always think on that way is initially think like you are a client or you are on that way. Because what happened when we are designing something, or when we are, let's say I am a businessman, I am come to any data scientist, so that time I don't have that much knowledge as a data scientist have, or let's say design data analyst have, because data analysis is expert in their concepts. But I'm a client, I'm not an expert of statistics. So on that context, data analysts have to deliver these things so any common man can understand, any common man. So for that purpose I said this point which I got from the internet is like what is the best thing to asking for designing the dashboard. So first question is what type of decision need to be made. So here first question what we can elaborate is what decision client wants to take. So basis on that, first is we have to decide like okay which kind of the decision clients need to be made. Second is what is the primary focus of your dashboard, is like which what is the main goal of your dashboard. So that is the thing, maybe design bi data analyst is always an expert in that, is like which type of the primary focus they want to design for the dashboard. So that is ultimately related to a decision. So both point are related. The one is your dashboard retrospective or a real time? That I don't know about this point, guys. You can explore and you are expert of this. But whatever in real time, what I understand is like when new data is come into the picture, let's say stream, you are designing the dashboard on streaming data. So that time is your dashboard is dynamic. It is updated automatically with the when we updated the backend side. I don't know about this. That is my perception. Just correct me if I'm wrong.
Oh,
Fourth
that's
one is
beautiful.
how detailed does your dashboard need to be. Like what happened if
Can I
you
add?
can, let's say let's say I'm a one painter and I want to paint I want to paint one painting which is convey one of the beautiful message which represent everything about COVID. So which kind of the dashboard you want to prefer on that painting. So just think like a painter, like you can paint and your painting is convey all the messages. So dashboard is a artboard of the data analyst. Okay. So a data analyst is doing art based on it will convey all the messages. That is a micro detail we have to understand, because what happened, our duty is to contain the micro detail and convert that micro detail into the insights. That is the main work of data insight, data, right? So that is a mastery of the data analyst, and I always salute about that, because I have seen I have some friends which are also doing a data analysis, and they show me their works, and they are doing awesome duties. So I seen that some of the working in a Tableau and Power BI. So they show me like, so I feel like, oh, this is awesome. Actually, I have to be a data analyst instead of data scientist. But when we go into deep dive, so that is a bit hard for me as well. So next point is, do you need to segment the data? So when you segment the data, so that is real pattern. That is psychology behind the segmenting the data. What happened when you try to understand the data, all the data at the same time? Complexity will be increased. If you create the complexity, even we can also become a confused, and client is also become a confused. So on that context, that's why that is a best way. If you can segment the data on the small section, you can understand the micro details. That's why we have to segment the data. How savvy is the end user? That I don't know. Last point, anyone can explain, guys. I don't know about this point.
Oh, just how well does the end user understand
Yes,
what you're presenting?
yes, agree.
And
And
can they connect with your data presentation techniques?
yes. So last point is what to learn more about a dashboard design. So I want to learn more about the dashboard design, that, like, let's say you can represent something in one of the beautiful design format, so client can easily grab that. So maybe I think this is contain that point only. If I'm wrong, just correct me, guys, huh? Because I'm not
No,
expert of dashboard.
that was beautiful, Ashish. And I want to give everyone what I hope is a helpful illustration. And it's this: imagine someone is injured or they need rehab, physical rehab. And
Yes.
what you're trying to do is take them from where they are back to their original physical abilities. And so you're a sort of doctor or a nurse, you're helping them get there. And but along the way, you're going to get a lot of feedback from them. Someone's got feedback. If you could, thank you. If you just, Naresh, could you mute your mic? Thank you, buddy. If you, along the way, you have, does that hurt? How are you feeling here? You're watching the way they do things, but we can't always see what people are thinking about our data. So as we're rehabbing them from being data illiterate on this problem we're helping them with to getting to where the data answers their question, we're like a doctor. We're trying to say, is this working? And I would contend that the best dashboard designs are probably presented 10 times before the final presentation, where you say, here's what I've got so far. Do you like where this is going? Okay, I'll come back with something a little less crappy next time. And then you keep doing that. By the time you get to the final presentation, the key stakeholders have already seen it a few times and given you feedback on how to make it better. I used this technique finally late in my life with something I was really struggling with, a big problem I was solving. But by the time I did the final presentation, the key architect was in the room supporting my statements every time someone would challenge me because I worked through it with him. He was the key stakeholder.
And I think also sorry, Arshad, go for it.
No, you go ahead, Zina, after you.
Thank you so much. I think the proof of concept is so important phase. At first, we try to first of all we try to show first version of work, and we always think like we have the proof of concept and then the final product. But the best way of doing things is having a lot of proofs of concepts till having the good model that would be convenient to everyone in order to see the evolution of work and validate each time the evolution. And this is how they would, like, for example, defend Tom at the end while he's presenting his final product. And I think this is important. Yeah, we can't understand everything from the first time. Yeah, go for it, Arshad.
Yeah, so this has happened with me many times because we are working in a service industry, right? So when we are showing any dashboard, when we are presenting, we have a pressure to make complicated dashboards so that client thinks that we have done a lot of work. So with lot of containers in one worksheet means a very complicated dashboard, so that when anyone looks, they'll say, "Oh my God, so much work this company has done." So, but that approach actually does not work. So when we go to a client with such a dashboard, they don't understand it. Specifically, some of our clients, like personally, when I was working with HR clients, so they don't understand so many graphs in one window. They only want to see few charts, which is very relatable and understandable. So and then from a complicated graph that we have made, we try to simplify it. So, and this is a learning that too much complicated things, too many complicated like and sophisticated visualization does not help solve the problem. Whatever you are doing, it should be a message, as Ashish also had pasted. Message should come across very clearly, and they can use the your output very efficiently to make decisions. And because they are the ones who are going to use it at the end of the day, how much, so they have to be very comfortable with it. And then once that is the way we go, we will set the process and then improve on the way. Yeah.
By the way, I just want to add something that our technical part it's looking stronger than our communication skills part. Right now, if you continue like this, we will go deeply in technical and maybe it will be pure technical session. I want to back to one who's the new guy who just give us 4 points. I don't remember the name.
Ishan.
Okay, Nishan. Um, the first point when he was talking about if
Squares.
Giovanna told us to give some squares and rectangle and something, and we are able, for example, to draw it or to use the language to describe that mean I just understand it like following something. It's either go with mathematics or with language. Okay. Now here's the communication skills start. For example, everybody is able to understand rectangle and square, and this is will be easy maybe to show. But again, when we are talking about practical experiment that we have
Efficiency.
in the yes, I think speaking with the language it will be faster and the message will be more clear at the end. And the most important for me, if I'm collecting requirements and I want perfect communication skills, I will never accept from him to speak with my language
Yeah.
from the beginning. I want to speak his language. I want to understand his point clearly. And this is very critical because when we are talking with about client, for example, because I'm working a lot in the healthcare, the physician is unable to move from the very critical sector he is working in. He's working on patient, on lives, and to speak your language. And if he tried, he will lead you to disaster. So I think the first step for this, the first and the most important communication skill that we have to do is to be patient, to listen before decide, okay, from the client or from whatever the audience that we have, to listen before decide, and also to be able to pretend. I think the actors here is when you speak about the movies, the actors is the best people who's able to be business analyst or something, because he is able to understand the rule. He is living another life totally during the movie. So somehow we have to be able to imagine that we is not we. This is not Ghaif right now. If I'm talking to a physician, I have to try to be in his place to understand his concern really. So that's why the language is very important, and we have to use the audience language first on the first level. This is what I wanted. When we are talking about communication skills, I think is very important. Listening is very important before using language and which language we are going to use. I think listening is very important, and I have to start applying this. I want to listen.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I would like to add like some points from the dashboard when it comes to the communication. So, so far I have seen such situations where there has been some discrepancies in the business requirements and when the developer is actually building the dashboard. So yeah, I've been working on some SSRS reports in the past. Like if anyone has just stop it. So what I have seen is like uh, there is a lot of confusion between what kind of charts you're gonna build on that uh, with respect to what data you have and getting the right infographics on the dashboard so it will it will look like less cluttered but it will give the maximum message possible based on what data you have. So that I feel is the very important point when you build a dashboard. Like what possible first is what possible visualizations we have based on the data, and what are the best infographics we can add to make it a more appealing kind of message. So that's what I wanted to share.
I think Ghaith also talked about something that I find so important. Um, while communicating something, we need to choose the right language. And we have been talking a lot about this term, using the right language, and what would be the right language. And Ghaith just answered the question. It's like scaling your language to the language of the audience that is in front of you. And yeah, I think this is a very important thing while communicating with someone. For example, Giovanna, and I think I would like that Giovanna reflects on this after she was describing the house to persons that are not architects, to persons that are not mathematical. Even though she would describe this to a child, he would understand. And I think Giovanna would talk about this better than me. And so, Giovanna, while you were describing this house, okay, or describing this scene, what was the language that you went for? And this is important. And how did you decide to go for such explanation?
Thank you for the question, Trina. Yeah, I tried to use a simple language, and and when guys told me that it seemed like a script that I was repeating the same things, it's because it was part of the exercise. Because when we communicate, we have to communicate simple, and we have to try to stick on the idea, because if every time we change things, we are going to confuse others. So this is the things that I was, because it's very difficult to transmit things with the images. So when we see an image, it's like, okay, you have the whole idea. When you have to speak, to transmit an image is difficult. So using simple words and trying to stick to the same instructions, and that's why I was open for questions, because sometimes, for example, I love when Arshad told me, sorry, yard. Say, okay, he didn't understand the meaning of yard, so garden. Okay, so you can try to give more, to use synonyms, to do it in another way, to try to communicate, to be like you know, that everyone is understanding, because this is important. And thank you, Sina, because it's not just speaking. So you have to transmit, you have to understand. And another important thing in communication is that you don't have to assume that the other person knows what means everything that you are telling, because maybe you are using simple words, but maybe these simple words are not in the vocabulary of the other person. If we are talking about data science, maybe we're going to start talking about models and things that maybe the other person knows these things in another way. For
You're so
example,
right.
yesterday I was in a lesson, in a math lesson, about quantum, and the professor was telling a lot of things about math. And one guy said, okay, but you're repeating this concept every time, but I don't understand that because I haven't seen that before. And this guy said, okay, maybe you know with this other name. So it could happen. So we have to be aware that maybe not everyone understand or use the same vocabulary, technical vocabulary that we use. Thank
Want
you,
I
to
Sina,
think,
add
for that.
a
yeah, I
real.
think,
Go ahead, Zena.
sorry, I think Giovanna, as I expected, while answering this question, just gave us the top rules while communicating something. And I don't know if I missed some points. The first point is to speak in um, simple language. We are not here to give poems or like being poets or writers. Simple language is efficient. Trying to not go from the assumption that the audience in front of us is understanding everything, and trying to simplify things for them and maybe changing the terms. And also she talked about what are the other point? Please help me, Tom. Like she got four things. I didn't know them.
Understanding. So be
Yeah.
sure.
And also repeating the same instructions to not let the person in front of us as lost in the different versions of explanations. And I think this is amazing.
Thank you, Tina.
Yeah, loved your answer.
These
I
are
hope
all
this meeting is recorded, by the way. I want to come back to Giovanna answer.
there,
I
there's
had a
so many.
question.
Oh, go on ahead, Manpreet.
When you say about communicating, like you were how you were communicating your ideas. So when you are in team or some you are talking to someone senior, how important is to communicate? How like being a fresher, you might be in a lot of fear, and like when you're even talking on LinkedIn to someone and you want to approach them or ask them something, how what is your approach when you communicate? What are the things that you keep in mind when you communicate, when you connect with them or message them?
When I'm trying to communicate with someone, for example, on LinkedIn, or while
Like
communicating my results.
I think she
um
meant you're presenting to someone of high caliber, someone really important, and you're
yeah,
scared.
like
How do you
generally
deal
that.
with that?
Yeah, because these people have follow on there, and they generally don't easily accept your connection request, and so you need to write a note to them. So what's the thought process that goes that catches their eyes, that you will communicate? And even when you even connect on LinkedIn with someone, then there are some people who would send a generic message with their YouTube link if they are doing something and say, I do subscribe to my channel or something like that. But yeah, how do you communicate with a person and tell them the exact purpose? so they know that you want to continue a conversation ahead. Sometimes people just see the message and ignore. So that's what I wanted to know.
So you want to send you want that someone accepts your connection on LinkedIn, and you need to send that small note. What should you write in it? That's the question.
Yeah, how do you communicate with people who are very high and professional and you being a fresher? So in 2 lines, how do you communicate?
Yeah,
So
that's I think what I do, for example, and I had this. There was a person that I have a lot of appreciation for him. His name is Manpreet Singh, and he's a specialist in image segmentation. And I read a lot of his articles, and I was trying to reproduce one of his codes, and I got a lot of questions. So the first thing I tried to do, and he's a very high scale, the kind of professionals and writers on Medium. And the first thing I searched his profile on LinkedIn and I found him. And the first thing that I wrote in simple words, a small message that, hello, I am so interested in your articles and I am trying to my best to learn about image segmentation. I'm trying to reproduce your code and I have this specific question. Thank you. And he accepted the invitation. I think you just need to be, sometimes there are people that are trying to enlarge their network. So for them, each invitation is accepted. And there are other people that go for another way. I want my connection, my network to be limited, uh, and they won't accept everyone. So you just need to tell him the reason you want to go into his limited network. And if he's convinced that he can interact with you and you can be beneficial for each other, he's going to accept. If he didn't accept, there are a lot of people that may have the same profile as him and want will be open to enlarge their network. And yeah,
Yeah,
I
one
hope
thing.
So
I answered your question, Man. I hope.
yeah, I'm
Did
very clear with that.
Yeah,
did
one
I
thing I
answer
wanted to
your
add
question?
to Zina's point. I think Zina had made a very good point, and I want just to add on this that I mean Manpreet had the question that if you want to approach someone who has, you need to approach someone who has a very high caliber, and you want to ask something. So the one thing apart from what Zina said, that you can talk about something that he or she, that person has done. I mean, that could be a book, that could be an article, that could be a post that he or she made a few days ago. So you can just read that post, you can have some thoughts on it, and then you can say that, hey, I mean, I read your post and I think this is a good thing, and put in some of your thoughts as well. I mean, that could be a basic starting point for a conversation, and that person will know that, okay, Manpreet has done some homework. She knows what I'm posting about. She has read my things, and she has some. Then the person will have some respect for you, and they will definitely reply to you, and you will also stand out from the crowd that is just sending the request and the same old, copy paste message that, hey, please connect to me. So that way you can, put your words in a better way.
And just I want everybody, please. Tom was trying to tell us something, and I want to let's say to debate on this, but I want to listen to Tom first.
Mine was real quick, and guys, great interactions. Really, I'm happy with the way we're helping each other. I just wanted to put out an additional thought to this theme of being simple, especially because my heart was going out to Christian. He was explaining, you know, English isn't my first language, and I have to communicate it in it a lot. And I put something in the chat to him, but I want to get us all thinking and adding this to the simplicity part. Less is more.
Hmm.
I want to just hear from you guys why that is true.
I mean, more the concise you write, I mean, more the concise and crisp your communication is, the better it is for the person.
In the spirit of what Zena was just teaching us and what she picked up from Geo, I'm going to repeat myself. Less is more. I'm not saying there's one aspect to it. I'm suggesting it's a beautiful diamond. Look at it from all angles and think, what are all the angles that is true and helpful?
Yeah. So
The first thing,
while
yeah, go ahead.
okay, sorry. So while you guys think on what Tom said, I want to just add two things to what Manpreet asked. Maybe it will help her. So one thing is when you are talking to someone, like trying to approach someone who is like, let's say 5 levels above you or something, you need, uh, this is my perspective, you need to be genuine, because these people didn't like come to that place like suddenly they weren't just born and just fall into that place. They have seen all kinds of like, sorry, pardon my language, all the bull that people are pulling, like all the excuses, all the like things that the people try to like exaggerate about themselves. They have gone through it, so they know it from a mile away. So if you are not genuine, like 100% genuine, uh, it will like it will be very bad for you. The other thing is people rise in the corporate ladder, not particularly because of their technical skills, but how they treat uh, what's the word, how they treat people, how they handle people. I don't want to use the handle word because it makes other people like toys or something, but they go up there because they understand, okay, this is this person's strength and everything, so they can see through you most of the time, especially the ceo level, c level people. So just don't exaggerate yourself, just be fully genuine. The other thing is quickly on the like this is very quick thing about the requirement gathering. When you have to sit down with the client and you guys are telling that we have to talk back and forth. That, but in the practical scenario, if I'm a CEO, I might have scheduled 1 hour now, and my calendar would be booked for the next 2 months. So I don't have time to like baby like spoon feed you everything that you need to ask. So at some point, as a data scientist, we need to have that capability also. Like if a CEO is saying, "Hey, I want this to be done," we need to have that capability of understanding. We can't just say it is language barrier or anything, because from their perspective, like data scientists, there are thousands of them, right? So if you can't do it in practical, this is the hard truth. They can replace you. So we can't just like depend on that. Yes, you have to improve your communication skills, but at the same time, you need to improve your thinking skills also to like quickly understand what this guy is saying. So, so that's it.
Okay, so
One
just a
thing I
quick point
was, oh,
replying.
sorry.
I guess it was Val. Go ahead.
Yeah, so I want to just reply to Tom's point that less is more. So just 2 points that I want to say is that when you convey your message, whatever message it may be a technical thing or another any talk. So being concise about it, telling the same thing in short, in concise points, and being crisp about it will not only help you to write it better, but also the other person will understand it better. And the second thing is that if you're writing a message in short or in a concise way, that means you are respecting the time of the person who's reading your thing. Because if you're conveying the same message in the twice or thrice length of the same no of the text, that means you're not respecting the other person's time, right? And the same thing goes when we're writing emails. If you're writing an email to your boss, to a junior, or to anyone, and if you're writing the same email in 3 paragraphs, which can be written in 3 points, then that's the way to do it. I mean, being writing in lesser, which is a better thing than elaborating it unnecessarily.
Yeah, I was going to say, I guess too, in Manpreet, is if you're writing to a CEO or you're writing to a C-level executive, I would start researching that company really well. And I would start reading everything that you can get your hands on about the business. What kind of business they're in, read their financial statement if they are, well, in America, We have, publicly traded companies. If it's a publicly traded company, you want to read all of the financial statements. You want to read all of the documents that you're going to find on their website. And then you want to even keep doing searches on Google. You want to find out everything that you can about this company. You also want to look up all your C-suite people and everybody you can find on LinkedIn. You want to know that company well. So when you have your 2 minutes or whatever you've got, if you are going to send, again, if you're sending them an invitation, maybe take a step back, think about sending them an in-mail. And in the in-mail, it's like, what do you want to ask them? You've got to do all that research and then figure out, what do you want to ask them? And, and also, what are you bringing? Are you bringing some new information? Are you bringing a new insight? I mean, what do you want out of this? Because this is the CEO of the company, and they've already got 3,000 or more people that are working there. So where do you want to go with this? So that's what I would suggest. It's like, if you were going for a job interview, okay, how would you prepare? What would you do? So that's the approach I would take if you're going to start hitting the C-suite. Because I will tell you this, I was in a networking group, and I connected with a CEO. And, it was fine. It was online. It was in a Zoom call and stuff, and we connected. I never expected hearing from him. Saturday night, I'm sitting home in my pajamas on LinkedIn, and I get a message from him. And at first my thought is, do I get dressed? I mean, this is the CEO of this company reaching out to me. So anyway, we had this interaction, we had this discussion. And so you never know. So I think if you get that opportunity, you want to be ready for it. And you want to have all of your information together, and you want to be ready to go. That's what I would say.
Yeah, thank you, Valerie, for that. I would like to add on the top of the things that you have just said. And I want to tell you that this is an amazing advice. And it happened to me when I was doing a process to get a job. A friend told me, this group, this company is going to do an event, and please go. And I said to myself, but why? I don't have time. And he pushed me to go. So in this event, they present a new methodology about how they work. And it was amazing because after a week, I had this interview with them. And they were asking me about methodologies, about all the things that we need to use for this job. And I remember everything that they say during this event, and I start using the same words that they present in that event. And he told me, the interviewer told me, just a second, have you been in our event? Because you are mentioning many things that we have had in that event. He said, yes, I've been there. And I say, okay, so that's enough. Let's go to the next level of the interview, because the thing was, I went to an event, so it means that I was close to them. Another thing is that I learned from their methodology, and they wanted a person who knows about this methodology. So at the end, what Valerie has told us is the essence of being part of a company, because you have to fit in the culture of the company. And if you are a fan of the company, if you know about the company, if you communicate, someone said before during the exercise, during the reflection said, guys, I think said you have to speak the same language of the audience, of the people. So this is the way that you can speak the same language of a company where you want to work, because every industry, every company has a way of communicate, have different vocabulary, we can say, and we can use it when we are doing an interview and we are contacting someone from this company. So thank you so much, Valerie, for this advice, for sharing that.
I just want to add something about less is more. Now it's about when we was talking about the simple words, the simple language that we are going to use, and sometimes for sure it depends on the context. So we sometimes we have to go deeper. We have to use more complex language, but in fact, you have to use, let's say, the simplest language that fit the context. This is what we are going to do. Now, why less is more here? One of the things that I was thinking about is also less repeating, because sometimes you don't want to be boring for somebody. Okay, this message, it's clear for him. We have to continue to the next message. So even less is more is always when you know that your message is reached or you understand the requirement if we are talking about different contexts. So we have to stop here. Now this is enough. We have to go to the next level. And one example is what Giovanna did. It's when she was in the interview, she was like, okay, you was in the event, let's go to the next step, for example. The second part, it's about the why question, and also this why, how it's fit the framework of the audience, or the common sense of the audience, let's say. For example, if you are speaking to your kids, to your child, you can find there is a lot of why, especially if he's 4 or 5 years old. A lot of why. Some why. What my son told me one, why your name is Ghaib. I told him, okay, this is the name that's chosen by my father. Then tell me why. So what I have to do here. So at the end, he start answering his sister, younger sister, the same question he start answering for me. So this is help a lot. So now the level of why and which framework we are talking about, it's very important. And again, it's back to why we have to speak our audience language, because we have to go to their why to understand their language. And in this case, we have to ask and listen more than speaking. And this has helped us to give better results. Now, the third point I want to mention, it's about when you are speaking to the C-level or to, let's say, mega influencer in the LinkedIn, for sure it's too different. But there is something I used to do. It's to, or two things, let's say. The first one is to be very direct with your message, respect his time, respect what you want from this message, either it's email, and yes, choose the simplest words, understand his background and speak with his background somehow. Somehow you can play some bad words, bad games. For example, if he's a curious person, you can trigger his curiosity just to let him answer. But it's depends how much you know him. Now, the second process is very important. What I learned from Tom. The first time I speak to Tom, it's about one event I was hosting, and he was very open-minded until he also immediately asked me to just to meet on Google Meet for a quick call, and this quick call continued for 1 hour. It was very nice call. It's the first call with Tom. I think I did the same with somebody. He's still here in this group. I don't go to mention the name, and because I love this way from his side. For me, Tom is very important person. Really, from the first time I meet him, for me, he was very important person. So I was very happy with this call with him, and I think I did the same. I don't go to mention the name, so I cloned this method from him. Okay, so this is how we are able. This is my thought. Let's say it's not professional thought; it's personal thought.
Another point I wanted to add to this conversation when we are talking about communicating effectively and concisely is that the one of the points that is very less talked about and very less importance is given to when we are talking about communication is the art of writing good emails. I mean, people can write emails, be it professional or any other ways, but I've seen that very few people write emails effectively. I mean, the same thing which needs to be communicated within one line, they'll be writing 3 lines for that. I mean, that does, I mean, when you are Elaborating, it doesn't mean elaborating it, but it means to write more professionally. I mean, you need to choose words, or you need to frame your sentences in a way that you can maybe, write the complete story within 1 or 2 lines. I mean, also to writing paragraphs, so for which makes it easier for the person to read, and also makes it more professional and understandable. So it's a very important way when you're communicating by emails, to make sure that the reader is able to comprehend your email, and also get the word through quicker.
Yeah, I would like to add something. Thank you so much for your advice, Chayan. One of my managers, leaders, uh, taught me that every email should have a call to action, because you are sending an email for something, but this call to action should be clear, because sometimes we talk a lot, or we write a lot, but at the end we don't know what is the essence of the email. So the call to action should include a call to action, and it have to be clear for everyone. Mhm. Thank you, Chayan, for that.
I think we can by the way, please read the comments too. People answered my question in the comments. But sometimes we can hide the purity of what we wanted to say or what we wanted to ask for inside too many words. It's like we hid a needle in a haystack and we're asking them to find it. And we think that they're going to want to read our many words, but they have a lot of pressure time wise. So respect that, get your message out clear. I edit even emails, even messages on LinkedIn several times before I hit send.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, one very interesting point that I got from Tom's answer is that once I was looking on the internet on how to write effective resumes. So in one article, I read that if you are applying for a data scientist job, and your resume, is something like, it has the data, but all the data is cluttered throughout your resume. It should not be the case. If you are looking to be a data scientist, then your resume should be the data in your resume should be clearly organized, so that itself is a testimony of your analytical skills and your data skills. So it should be that your resume has all the data clearly visible, and it shouldn't be like all the haze around. It should be clearly segmented, and all the information should be clearly visible, so that the recruiter can take what he wants quickly, and not just to find what all things he wants.
I would agree. I've heard more than one executive just say, don't make me have to figure it out. They don't have time. They just don't. And the other thing, and I don't know, things have changed, especially with the pandemic and all this stuff. One of the most valuable people who are so overlooked is their assistant or their secretary. And if you can, ask them if she or he can share with you their list of priorities, because it really helps if you find out where you are and your team is on that list of priorities. So and so then you can adjust accordingly and say, oh, this and this are ahead in the queue, and then you kind of know. And I have to be honest, I've gone to their assistants or secretary and just said, how's it going today? Can I get 5 minutes? I'll see, and it's like you have to be sensitive to where they are. So yeah, but I would just say, don't make them have to figure it out.
This is my hand signal for extreme brilliance is being stated. Listen carefully. Put up your antennas and capture all the wisdom.
Hey guys, I really wanted to ask you one of the doubts. I had something in my mind running since the whole week, and I really wanted to ask you with it. Hope you will answer that. Actually, in my college, there's a placement which happened this week, and it's an example of one of my senior who got placed into one of the big MNCs, ONGC, like government PSUs. And I want to just, and I am very shocked that he got selected on a, but at the same time happy too. So I just want to share his experience, and I want to know what could be a HR mindset. He is somebody who didn't had really good pointer. He just had 6 or 6.5. That's it. And from a normal category, like there was no category at all, but he got a seat to sit into interview because there are some guys who are suffering from pandemic or any personal problems, or they already got placed into some other companies. So he went to the interview. The interview asked him one straight away question: what else you can show apart from resume? And he said nothing. That was the first answer. And then they asked some questions regarding the technical issue. He answered in every correct manner. And after that, they asked him, why did you score so low in your all these semesters? So he answered that, I'm really sorry. I had like my handwriting is very poor. So at the end of the meeting, they told to go and write on a blackboard with a marker and a whiteboard, and they told just go and write on it about yourself. And he quickly just memorized what he told, and he on intentionally he wrote a very bad handwriting. He just told me that this is what happened in the interview. And there was another guy who worked hard all 8 semesters, who used to sit on library, like literally working hard, but he didn't make it. And there's this guy who just answered 5 questions, but yeah, about the experience with me, what I had been with him, he must have told everything with the whole confidently, because I know him personally. So he would have definitely answered all the questions confidently. But still, it hurt. It whenever I just saw, and I was shocked. Like, how come this guy? Because he never used to even write his own assignments. I used to write his assignments as a junior. And the whole first year, I kept writing his assignments and all, doing the work. And this guy got placed in one of the big PSUs of India. And I'm like, oh my God. So I just want to ask you, what could be the mindset of an HR or those guys who got selected? Like anybody.
Um, Me being getting placed recent, like in this year, I mean in 2019 we had our placements. Same thing happened with one of my friends. She did not have any technical knowledge. She was very confident and she was very good at lying. So she very convincingly lied to the interviewer that she has a learning attitude and if she can get, so she can do. So what I feel is, it's according to my perspective, that if you can show the interviewer that you have a learning attitude, given what you can do. So what if suppose today you are an HR and you're trying to hire someone, but that person becomes very arrogant. Okay, I know I'm the best, so that with that mentality they won't select, irrespective you have 9 pointers, you are a gold medalist, because they need people who can lead a team and not be like a boss. They need people who can learn and make the other teams also learn, and they also know how to take uh, work from other people and work efficiently on time. So I think this is what they see, but there are all the people experts over here in the industry. They might tell you.
So I
Yeah, I think it,
agree with yeah, I agree with what Manpreet said. So it's not about the technical skills most of the time. It's about the attitude. So when you say attitude, like Manpreet said, it is not the attitude. Hey, I'm the guy, I'm the boss, like that. Not that one. Whether it's about the attitude of whether he is trying to get ahead inside the company, or he's trying to like stop and help others and trying to get everyone go, like that kind of attitude. If you have that, even if you don't have that much mark. So I have hired a lot of people that have not got the marks that they need, but their attitude was very good when compared to the highest mark ones. And over the years it has proven to be true. One of those guys is my now currently tech lead. He had like minimum qualification getting out of the university, and the other guys who came with him, they had like first class and everything, but I didn't hire them because they had a very bad attitude. This guy, because one, like, if that like it depends on the culture, it depends on the boss also. Like if the boss is someone who is like uh, like controlling or something, it's a totally different scenario. But in most companies, they are looking for people who will not disturb the like current culture and make sure that everything like runs smoothly. So if you can, like, again coming back to the original point, if you can like be genuine, if something, if in the interview someone asks you something like a score or something and you have a bad score, just tell it. And if you can, if the interviewer is very good, he will ask, why do you think you got this low mark? Then you have the chance to explain, hey, I was not paying attention, or I was putting some time into sports or something. Just be genuine, because a lot of companies are looking for that, because skills, you know, right? Data science, we can teach anyone data science given time, right? So it's not a big thing. So what's important is your character and the attitude. Yeah.
And like also adding to the point, I had a supply in my college. Okay, and I still, and after my college, we had this pandemic thing happening this year. So getting a job was more tougher. And I had applied for a position where it was written 1+ experience, but I just applied because I thought, let's see how the interviews goes, what is the learning. And the HR hiring team asked me, why won't you had some done a part of that tool that we use, given thing will you be able to learn? Or they gave me a situation and I proved them that I can learn, and now I am the part of the team. Now I'm working with them, and yeah, I have learned a lot. So what I learned from my seniors is, when you're presenting, you should have a very learning attitude. And the most thing, when they ask you, what how do you see yourself after 5 years? So you, it could be your growth with the company, taking company to a greater height is what they want to hear from you. So the I think this is all they expect from you, to see how you see the company's growth when they hire you, because they are investing in you, they are paying you, so they want some returns from you as well. So yeah.
Now, can I be problem maker again? Okay. I want to ask the couple of questions. Now, what is the good attitude and what is the bad attitude? Now, is it enough to tell you that this is good? Okay, right now this is friendly meeting. So I told you, for example, Tom is a very important person for me. I think everybody can understand it. But I don't want to be on the HR place. Okay, this is very hard task. But is the word good attitude is enough? I think again we need
No,
something measurable. We
it
need
just
something
means
measurable.
it
No,
just
no,
means that you don't have to be so extra arrogant and tell that, yes, I
no,
am
no.
the best, I know that, and I can do that. You know that
I
that
will tell you I
arrogance
will tell
level.
you a very bad example, Manpreet. And sorry for this example. Sorry for everybody who will feel bad about this example. Adolf Hitler has a good attitude, for example. He was he has great charisma that he destroyed the world for his charisma. Okay, sometimes the choose is not about this. Now when you are talking about a balance or fair process for hiring people, then we need to have something measurable. This is how I look at it, something measurable to tell me now, okay, even about the good attitude, it can be break down into small marks and then tell me where I was bad. Okay, I think this is the best scenario, which has not happened at the end. I'm sure about this, and I face it by myself. And also, I was the lucky guy. This is the bad thing, but there is somebody better than me, and I get hired. Okay, but it's very critical. The HR work is very critical, and here why we have to not talk about that attitude, because evaluating the attitude in this way, good or bad, it will be something personal. Right now, since here in this group we are 15 person right now online. I think some people will like my attitude, some people will never like it. Okay, but at the end, and even the same maybe for me, at the end this is personal. Is this a process has to be personal? Okay, it's personal. I'm the boss. I'm the okay. Now, why, if you are the boss, why you are run away from another boss with you? Okay, this is how we can think about it. So, really, this, yes, I agree with this. Nobody, the arrogant person is unable to learn. This is what we previously discussed about it. I agree with that. But sometimes it's really good to have one person is able to manage a team, to lead a team really, and he has the full confidence to do that. Why this has to be bad, for example? So I think this is, let's say, a message from my side, just to all HR workers. We have to add some metrics for the hiring process, and for sure it will not be unified. But at the end, when I prefer when I'm going to post a position, I will mention the metrics. Okay, this is my metrics. Go ahead and be ready with it.
It really depends on it, the problem comes when the HR is the one who is making the decision, right? If I am the team lead and we are hiring someone to work under me, then I should be the one taking that decision. So it should be personal because he is going to work with my team, and I know my team best, and I know whether this guy's attitude is going to disrupt it or not. So I think HR shouldn't be a part of it. HR should be part of it regarding the other stuff like HR stuff. But when taking the final decision, it should be the person who is immediate, who is going to be the immediate supervisor of the person you are hiring, because then it's personal, right?
I
I
have a
would agree with
small
you,
input
Ishan,
actually.
because
Yeah,
I'm,
please continue.
I'm sorry, Ishan, am I pronouncing your name right? Ishan?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I would agree with you because I think it's really important that your team gels and works together. And if somebody is brilliant and arrogant and going to disrupt things all the time, it's really disturbing to everybody. And you have to get a job done. You have to get work done. And so I agree with you. I think it's really important to find someone you can work with because you've already got different personalities. I guess going back, not to belabor the point, but going back to the Strength Finders, event that I went to, and within your team, you have enough just to try to stay on the same page together because you're all going to see things differently. And whenever you add somebody new into the group, you've got another set of visions, another set of, personalities and stuff. And so I agree with you. I think that's really, it's important.
Yeah, I just have a small point to add. Means, see, different HRs have different perspective. So suppose one guy who is giving an interview to one HR, so he might looks good fit for the company according to that HR, which might not happen if some other HRs is there. So there should be some specific list of things which should be maintained as per what Raj said, that we need to maintain some metrics which goes on along with the company's culture, so that we can also means keep some questions which can help us to understand that how is that guy, means based on the response what that guy gives to us. So based on that we can actually means maintain a means a generalization matrix for all of the people who are coming up. Then we can actually justify that yes, this is actually, this guy is fitting as per our company's culture and this guy is not fitting. So in this way we can actually, I think, take this up. So that's my view actually.
Yes, I think I agree with you, Sarah. This is what I mean. I'm not talking about the personal part which will play, and the company culture will play main role here. But if we are talking about personal part, if we are going to take it personally 100%, then okay, we have friends and we will get our friends to the company, and this is done. This is not fair at all. This is how. The personal part, I agree 100% with Valerie. But what I mentioned is something just like what Surav said. We have some kind of matrices, some kind of structure for these interviews that reflect to the company's culture, the company culture itself. This is how I understand it.
Hey guys, I'm really like overwhelmed with the response because as if I'm not even a fresher. For a company, it will have a 2 year journey to become even a fresher. But since then, like I used to think that if a person is rejected, I feel or any like that maybe he is a looping or a loophole in him. And all my seniors whom I'm seeing, they used to curse themselves if they're not selected. They feel like I'm not good, I'm not good. But at least now I understood that it also depends upon a company, maybe the company's culture and the HR mindset, which is also important. I don't think that if I didn't had a conversation with you, I might able to get to know it. So thanks for that, and
No, no, this is my
I'll
side.
definitely
This is very important for me to tell you that if if someone rejected from one company, that not, doesn't mean at all that he is not good. Okay, that it's the only meaning that okay, you cannot work here and get money from us. Okay, because we think you will not be useful for us. That's all. It's related to this company, related to this situation. Okay, now this is very critical, and I think everybody will say yes on this.
absolutely, I definitely agree with you.
Yes, and logistic information. Guys, we feel so good being here, talking and learning and sharing that we always forgot about the time. So we have our sponsor that gave us 2 hours
Yes,
to,
yes.
yeah.
Because today, in fact, I was looking for the on the watch right now, but today there is no other, let's say, no other meeting with our sponsor. That's why I don't want to break this conversation. Okay, I keep it to
Okay.
continue.
I
I
would
I
like
want
to. Oh, go ahead, Ray.
tell me. No, no, I was going to ask you, so that's why you appear in the correct time.
I think that we're family now, and we do need to gain the skill of saying this was so important. Let's push the pause button and pick up right here next week. The stewardship committee will make sure we resurrect where we were and go from here. And this was super good. I grew a lot from listening to your inputs. And I would say we could kind of start, I think we're still talking around less is more and how to capitalize completely in every dimension on that. So we could just start there in our communications in general. And then I know that as soon as possible, Manpreet wanted to do a session or an icebreaker on resumes and landing job roles. And we have a lot to say about that, but we might get in the habit too of inviting some surprise guests to help us with a topic that we know we're going to discuss. So just for the fun of it, we'll surprise y'all with who they are, but you can suggest. And one last thing, I like it when someone posts about these. You'll notice that I have not. And I don't mean to be cocky or anything like that when I say this. I'm afraid to post because I don't want too many people to show up too fast. However, the way I prefer to grow is you guys invite people that you want to invite. You have complete carte blanche. That's what we say. I think it's from French phrase, but it just means you have complete authority to invite anyone you want. I would rather it grow that way. And with that, there's some of us I know that have a follow-up communication with others, and it was great as always, guys. So great. So, boy, parting is such sorrow, right? By the way, one day I promise I'll do a singing goodbye. That's one of my areas, but not today. And but it's really hard to say goodbye. So when I push the leave button, it's like, ugh. So I just want y'all to know that. But I'm about to push it because there's something important I have to go do. And Sai, would you post in our group chat what you were going to share with us all? Because I think we would love it. He wrote a summary of everyone's contributions and he wanted to share it, but we've run out of time.
I would rather, it will take time to type and all. So shall I speak? I'll just take a 2 minutes of your time if you
You know
are okay
what?
with it.
Why don't we do have to get off pretty quick. So can we start with your summary? That will be even more powerful next time we meet because
Yeah,
it'll
one thing
be
I
a
just,
refresher.
okay, sure.
It will
I'll just
help
write.
a lot, Sai, because we're pushing the pause button. We kind of want to start off next week where we've left off. Your summary will be huge for us, so that'll be great.
Okay, then I'll just write it down. Or shall I send you? Like,
No,
we don't have any LinkedIn group
you know
chat
what?
or
Oh, we do
like that.
actually. We'll make sure. Let's see. Alec, could you add him to our group chat?
Yeah, I add you to our group.
I guess he's in our group. You can send a picture
Yeah.
of what you have written.
Yes, you are in our group in LinkedIn.
I'm
Yeah.
really sorry. I think
That's
I didn't follow it. I'll definitely check it out. I'm
Don't
really
worry,
sorry.
don't worry. We are going to,
excellent.
yeah.
Okay, so guys, I'm about to do the hardest thing I do each week. It is press the leave button. So I love you all. Talk to you next week and see you in the chat.